I'm Johnny Massacre and welcome to the Johnny Massacre Show. This is the Friday Night Massacre and this is my analysis of the Donald Trump-Biden debate, part 2, the last debate they're having before the 2020 election. So my notes are headlined absolute murder, which might give you an impression of Donald Trump's performance. He absolutely crushed Joe Biden, crushed him. I haven't looked at any headlines. I haven't looked at any news. I know what it's going to say. All the left-wing media, especially CNN, is going to say that Biden won the debate. But they are totalitarian. They have one mode of thought, and they want to make everyone bow down before that, which is their way is the only way. And that's what the ultimate fantasy depiction of totalitarianism did in George Orwell's 1984. All the facts, they threw them in the memory hole and then replaced them with some new news. So regardless of the performance today from Biden, CNN and websites and news outlets like that are going to memory hole what really happened, which is Trump murdered Biden, and they're going to try to replace it with something else. Don't fucking listen to him. Listen to me, because I'm honest. It was absolute murder. Donald Trump, he crushed Joe Biden. Donald Trump had a lot to offer. Biden had literally nothing. He didn't have one thing to offer. All he had to offer was to take. He's going to increase taxes, and that's about it. So first up, Trump's first response, which was to COVID, was perfect. It was 2 minutes of perfection. He had 2 minutes in which to speak, and unlike the first presidential debate, Donald Trump didn't go over. He timed this to 2 minutes perfectly. I was timing it on my watch. He fucking smashed it. It was way more measured and controlled than the first debate, where he got a bit angry and went after Joe Biden repeatedly. Also, no smug moderator looking down his glasses at you, some snooty twat like the first debate. And surprise, surprise, when the moderator isn't the tag team partner for Joe Biden, it actually goes a lot smoother. I've got some notes here and I've written something really fucked up. I said that the moderator in the first debate is the kind of guy who, when he fucks his wife doggy style, tickles her butt cheeks with that roll of flab hanging down right here that you can't get rid of because he's too fond of posh wine. That's the kind of guy who was in the first debate. This one, they had this bird. She was great. She was a great moderator. I didn't have any problems with her. She asked 2 questions later on, race baiting questions, that went unchallenged, which were fucking stupid. But other than that, she was really good. She was much more controlled. She let Trump speak a bit more. So when you don't attack Donald Trump, then it's much better. So she didn't attack him, which was good. Trump let Biden speak this time, and Biden fell on his sword so many fucking times. Biden had no comebacks. His only comebacks were, no, you're wrong, and he's a bad person. Pretty much that's all he had to come back with. He doesn't do that. I don't do that. He doesn't have that. Anyways, the debate opened with COVID. So Biden, he was so fucking negative. You must have heard that hanging around with negative people is bad, right? It doesn't really matter what they say because they're not really saying anything. They're just negative, depressed people. And regardless of their outlet, the core of what's going on is just pure negativity. And if you hang around such people, you'll become negative too. That's like Joe Biden. He's the kind of guy, if you met him in a bar, you probably have a few words with him, and then you just edge away and say, fuck this guy, because he's so negative. Trump was much more positive and upbeat about everything, which is one of the reasons why he smashed this debate and crushed Joe Biden. So Biden opened regarding COVID by saying, your families are hurting badly, you're getting hurt badly. He said, and I quote, we're about to go into a dark winter. That's a pretty nice sell, Biden. Trump countered that in his kind of cute little high-pitched voice, which made a mockery of Joe Biden. He said calmly, I might add, I don't think we'll have a dark winter at all. We're opening up our country. We've learned about it in ways we didn't know in the beginning. And he just had a really nice tone. He referenced Biden's comments where Biden said that Trump was xenophobic for closing the border, which is a counter to Biden's criticisms about Trump's handling of COVID, because if Biden were in power, then he would have shut the border later and more people would be dead or infected. Biden then countered by saying people are learning to live with it, quoting Trump, and then said people are learning to die with it. All right, mate, all right. He then said, you folks at home will have an empty chair at the kitchen table this morning. And then he started stumbling and he literally said, that man trying to reach over, trying to touch their out of habit where their wife or husband or wife is gone, learning to live with it. Come on. We're dying with it. Because he said it's dangerous. When's the last time? Is it really dangerous still? You tell the people it's dangerous now. What should they do about the danger? And you say I take no responsibility. That's what Joe Biden said. Sounds like a great president. Then Trump said, excuse me, I take full responsibility. And I like that. He took some responsibility for what happened. That's what we want to hear. And he said it calmly. It's not my fault it came here. It's China's fault. He said it calmly. It was beautiful. And then Trump said, and you know what? It's not Joe's fault either, which is a wicked tactic. China kept it out of some parts of their country, but not from coming out to the rest of the world and ourselves, said Trump in a soft tone. So he's on fire here. He comes across as reasonable. He even said it's not Biden's fault. Then Biden, doom and gloom. He said, we'll have 200,000 dead before the end of the year. If we just wear these masks, we'll save 100,000 lives. Trump's not telling anyone not to wear a mask. He said you can wear it if you like, pretty much, which is the right thing to do because people can do what they like. Biden said the president has no comprehensive plan. He said that if he was president, what would he do to fix COVID? He said, I would make you all wear a mask all the time. He said national testing. And he said he would set national standards of how schools and businesses can open and give them the financial wherewithal to do that. And then he said, so folks, I will take care of this. I will end this. I will make sure we have a plan. So there's so much shit here. It's just kind of a pain in the ass to unpack. But let me try and do it as succinctly as possible. So Biden's plan is to make sure he has a plan. He says he'll take care of this and end this without specifying how. The only three things he says he'll do is make sure everyone wears a mask when pretty much everyone's wearing it anyway. So I guess that means I don't even know if this is constitutional and they can get this through the courts, but that basically means he's going to make it a law to wear a mask. And if you don't, it's a criminal offense. So that's one thing he said. So he doesn't trust the American people. Doesn't trust you. National testing, they're already doing that. And this is classic political rhetoric. This is like something out of a George Orwell novel. They're basically using fancy vocabulary to say something really evil. He says he'll set national standards of how schools and businesses can open. What does that even fucking mean to fix the coronavirus? I'll tell you what it means. It means he's going to lock down. He's going to lock down more. That's all it means. Otherwise, he'd say what Trump said. Trump literally said around this time, I'm going to open it up. Even when Joe Biden pressed him and said he's going to kill people, Trump said, no, you can't do that. We've got to open it up. So what Biden is saying there is he's going to lock down. And then after locking them down, he's going to give them the financial wherewithal to do that. So he's going to lock down and he's going to give them subsidies and loans. That's already happened and all the small businesses have already failed. So he's going to lock down further. So any small businesses that somehow survived are then going to die. So that's kind of like shooting someone in the leg and saying, well, I'll pay for like 30% of your hospital bill. And then they just get gangrene and die. That is literally Joe Biden's pitch for coronavirus. Like a lot of Dems, he just constantly criticizes Trump about COVID and has no response, no solution at all. Trump did have a solution. He was much more positive. He smashed it. He said, we have a vaccine. It's going to be with us in the next couple of weeks, maybe a little bit longer, probably the next 2 or 3 weeks. He said the military is lined up to distribute it. He said he has 100 million vials ready to go for people who want it. Biden then talked about making classes smaller, putting plexiglass in bars and shit. So Biden's really trying to create a dystopian future where life as you knew it and enjoyed it will never be enjoyed again. Count me out. Plexiglass. Trump called him out on that. Don't ask my opinion on that or I'll start getting angry. It's just leave it at that. And it's kind of annoying that the moderator didn't ask him directly if he wants to lock down because he kept obfuscating it and with his rhetoric tried to skate around it in typical slippery politician style. Then Trump started cussing him for hiding in the basement. Trump said, we can't lock ourselves up in the basement like Joe does. He has the ability to lock himself up. I don't know how. He's obviously made a lot of money someplace. So that is Trump starting to attack Joe Biden about the laptop of his son, Hunter Biden, that was left in some computer repair shop that the authorities have gotten hold of. And it looks as if Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, was in China doing dodgy deals and giving kickbacks to his dad. That is Trump just starting to reference this. I love the way Trump didn't shoot his load early. Before the first debate, there was some ace in the hole for the Democrats. They released some news about Trump. I can't even remember what the fuck it was. I think it was his tax returns or something. And they kind of shot their load too early, like their very first time. But the Republicans have waited, and their fucking bombshell, they've dropped it here, which is Joe Biden's son's laptop and the alleged corruption. And Trump is very smart here. Without shooting his load early and just hitting him with that, your son did this, he just alluded to it at this early stage in the debate, because he was going to exploit this controversy for all it was worth. And he's trying to spread it out. So that was quite a good tactic from Trump there, conserving a bit of ammo, but just kind of taunting Joe Biden, making Joe Biden aware that he's about to hit him with a serious blow pretty soon. Trump said, Biden has a thing about living in a basement. People can't do that. So he's hitting Joe about the basement, hiding himself. It's fucking hysterical. Trump said he'd love to lock himself up in a beautiful room in the White House, but just can't. And then Biden went on to Trump's tax returns. Trump's response wasn't exactly amazing, but he said he paid all of his tax up front, tens of millions of dollars. Trump countered by talking about the witch hunt, where they tried to unconstitutionally remove him from office like a fascist uprising, trying to get rid of Donald Trump because, I don't know, Orange Man bad. And the Dems spent $48 million of your tax money or Americans' tax money on trying to get rid of Trump in an attempted coup, and they found nothing wrong, taxes included. And then Trump said, if I spent 1 million, not 48 million that you spent investigating me, if I spent 1 million on you, I'd put you away. Boom! Trump fucking smashed him with that. That was the first killer roast. So this debate is incredibly important, because aside from this, when you read any of this news, it goes through the filter of liberal news, because most news is liberal. So you won't even get to hear from the horse's mouth. You won't even get to hear what Trump has said before it's put through a filter, or certain things are put in the memory hole and they try to rewrite reality in order to get you to vote for them. So this debate is incredibly important. It's a real shame that they didn't have the previous debate. And what I'm saying is it's just true. So look at my screen. I searched for DuckDuckGo about Biden emails, and this is Hunter Biden's emails on the laptop I mentioned. DuckDuckGo, the first predictive search is Biden emails, and then Biden laptop is number 3, so that's what people are really searching for. And then if you look on DuckDuckGo, the main headline is Obama conference call leaked to Burisma, Biden emails. So it's kind of talking about what's going on. Then if you Google it, you can't see it at all. It just, the predictive entries are Joe Biden, Biden age, Biden running mate, and so on. So you can't really get any proper news, because the number one search engine in the world and the company that controls the lion's share of the free flow of information, Google, will censor your searches and try to create a different reality, so you vote for someone who shouldn't be voted for, in my opinion. I find this so fucking disturbing, and I don't find it disturbing that Google are doing this. I find it disturbing that they're doing it and people are not questioning it out. There needs to be way more pushback on this. For me, it's shockingly dangerous, and yet here we are. So then Trump started ramping up the accusations about Joe Biden's son and the corruption, where Joe Biden's son was like a mule doing these dodgy deals off the Biden family name and giving kickbacks to his dad. But Trump was much cooler. He used Biden's momentum, or lack thereof, against him. He just let Biden talk, and Biden kept falling on his sword. Biden's response to all of this was, I didn't make money. So Trump will say something. He just goes, no, that's not true. There's no way a regular person could look at this and not feel that Biden was getting smashed here. So The moderator was really good at this point. She was keeping things nicely in control. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. She did a great job. Trump continued to smash Biden on the emails in China. And then again, Biden's response, he says, no, you make money in China. Okay, so someone makes a serious accusation about you and there appears to be evidence and you just say, no, it's not. Then Biden said that Trump has a Chinese bank account. This came out in the news. Oh my God, like rich international businessman had a Chinese bank account in one of the fastest growing markets in the world. Oh my God, before he was even president. How terrible. Trump responded by saying all of his bank accounts are listed. He has many bank accounts. It was open in 2013, probably closed about 2015. He just came across as honest. He says he thought about doing a deal in China and changed his mind. And he ran for president after that, and he closed it before running, which is the key point and the big difference, because Biden apparently has been profiteering off his name while he has a position of political power, and that's the last thing you want from a politician. Trump said Biden is VP and his son, his brother, and older brother are getting rich. And Biden says, not true. So this carried on all night. Next up, Biden said that Trump embraced thugs in North Korea. As far as I know, Democrats emboldened North Korea. In 1994, Bill Clinton made a deal with North Korea, similar to Iran, where they basically profited off it and they've got added time. And now North Korea have a nuclear weapon. Well done, Democrats. Biden then said Trump is paying billions of dollars to China in tax money. And then Trump was incredulous. He just stopped. He let Biden's stupid comment breathe for a bit, and then he said, yeah, it's called China's tax money, referencing all the tariffs he's put on them and how he's not using the American people's money and giving it to China. He's actually taxing China up the arse. And then Biden started stuttering. He said, bringing up this malarkey. Biden was in terrible form this whole interview. Trump calmly and constantly murdering him. Trump was ready, and this was beautiful. Biden interrupted Trump more than Trump interrupted Biden. I counted it. The mainstream media definitely will not tell you that. So it's a massive turnaround for Trump in the second debate. Letting Biden speak again. At this point, Biden had started to kind of trail off and get muddled. He forgets what he's saying and then defaults to the main point. So he can only focus on one talking point, which are the baked-in talking points he needs that his party have drilled into him. So then when Donald Trump calls him out on something and he has to deviate from his set talking points, he doesn't have enough brain power to focus on two things at the same time. And so when he goes off that path, he starts to forget the original talking point. And he's kind of like a kid in a maths class who's not very good, trying to remember the answer and then just goes, oh yeah, 4, 2 plus 2 is 4. That was what Joe Biden's performance started to degenerate to at this stage in the interview. With North Korea, again, like Trump was positive. He just said, look, we've got a good relationship with them. We kind of move forward. Joe Biden again, all doom and gloom. The moderator's still good here. When Trump was fired up, she didn't attack him. She's like, come on, as almost as if she's talking to a kid. And that's kind of what you want to do. You got to treat them like kids because they are like kids, Biden and Trump, when they go at it. Then healthcare came up. Biden again, doom and gloom. He already said, you know, you're all going to die from COVID. 200,000 people are going to die from COVID. If he becomes president, I don't know how he's going to stop that happening. But anyways, Biden said on healthcare, you're scared in bed, anxious, wondering about health insurance, and then linked that to coronavirus. And I guess that's Democrats in a nutshell. Lock down the state, fuck up everyone, and then offer to help you. They basically need you down so then they can appeal for you for a vote in exchange for their help. They cripple you and offer you a crush, do the Democrats. Then Trump started calling out Biden on fracking, and then he started, at this point, Trump, he set the tone, he set the pace, he was killing it, he was smashing Biden down repeatedly. Biden didn't have anything to say to him, and now Trump started to turn on the kind of the swagger, the kind of typical exhibitionist behavior that he's famous for on a stage, the same behavior that made him quite an interesting little cameo in the world wrestling entertainment industry, where he comes on and the lights are on him and he's got a bit of swagger and he's all a bit funny. Trump started to get into that mode, and he started to copy Biden's voice and mimic him on the stage, which was just funny. It's funny. It's good to see these people in their suits and they're all stuffy, and these lying politicians get broken down to size. Even though Trump, you could argue he had a privileged life, He comes across like one of you. He comes across like just a mate, and he'll just talk shit on someone. And I think people find that refreshing. I do. Then the moderator started to say some stupid shit. So I don't know if she came up with these questions, but she talked about the next subsequent aid bill to alleviate coronavirus. And she talked about that and then said, women and people of color are most affected. Can we stop pushing? The coronavirus does not infect black people or women more. So stop pushing this narrative that women and black people are all pathetic and stripping them of their free agency. They are in control of their lives. It's not going to affect them disproportionately if they take the same preventative measures as anyone else, white, black, yellow, whatever. So stop belittling these people. Stop infantilizing them. It's how people can ask these questions in a presidential debate without going unchecked. I just don't understand how we've got to this stage as a society. It's so stupid. And actually, I looked online about this. So women most affected by COVID. Okay. Listen to this. In every country with sex disaggregated data, there is between a 10 and 90% higher rate of mortality amongst people diagnosed with COVID if they are men compared to if they are women. Sarah Hawkes, Professor of Global Public Health at University College London, aka UCL, told CNN on March 24th, Professor Hawkes is co-director of Global Health 50/50, a non-profit that highlights health inequalities by sex and is assiduously attempting to aggregate up-to-date COVID-19 figures by sex. Their analyses show that in almost every country reporting mortality data broken by sex available, the risks are higher for men who contract the virus than for women who do. Here we show the gender gap in the 10 countries with the highest death tolls at the time of writing. Blue is dead men, grey is dead women. Both contracted COVID. Look at this. Men are absolutely dying at higher rates than women. So why is the moderator saying that when COVID affects black people and women, it's when people do this, it's more about, look how woke I am, look how good I am, look how much of a good person I am. I really care about all the poor people. Stop with this shit. Stop with this fucking shit. Biden was full of fear and anxiety here, and then he highlighted how people were losing their jobs because of COVID, and he had the nerve to mention cops and first responders and then say he's going to help them. Biden is for defunding the police. If you look at any interview or any question to Biden about defunding the police, he never, ever, ever criticizes that movement, and he's basically for defunding the police. And then he has the audacity to mention cops as losing their jobs. He's not on the side of the cops. Hypocritical wanker. When people come to his door, people on the right, and give him shit and start chanting and threaten him, he'll be the first person to call those fucking cops he wants to defund. So he's a hypocritical bastard there. What's next? Well, yeah, Biden rattling off typical leftist talking points. Systemic racism. The world is a negative place. Everyone's out to get you. It was hard to listen to, actually. It was just so false and so full of lies. He again talked about businesses going under, which is rich because his party, the Democrats, are the most pro-lockdown. New York and LA, which are the most democratic states in America, are the heaviest lockdown states there are. And so for him to talk about how small businesses are going under, it's basically because of him. So then the subject of minimum wage came up. Biden, of course, being a Democrat, a leftist, and what with leftist policies, a third of which are made up of welfare, he said free money, basically higher minimum wage, more money for everyone. And then Trump put it to him something like it's gonna put people out of business. And then Biden said that wasn't true. And he said there's no evidence it puts people out of business. Yes, it does. It's basic economics. If you raise the wages, then prices will go up, and then you'll just be back to where you were before. You cannot tell me that won't happen. I've run businesses in my life. When there's money available, I'll charge people up the fucking ass. If people want to pay, I'll fucking make the price as high as possible to the point where you're not going to make any money anymore and people won't buy it. Then you roll the prices back and you're just always trying to find that edge where you're getting as much money as possible. That's what everyone's trying to do. And so if you put the wage up, that means people have more money, and that means people like me or others can charge more. And that is literally what people will do. If they don't charge more and they put the wage up, and especially during COVID times, if profits aren't good, that means their money's going to be down. So they have to make money elsewhere. So that means they have to lower the price of their products. But if they do that, they're not going to make any profit. So probably what will happen is some staff will get laid off. If you have to pay them more, they'll lay off some of the staff. So it's just basic economics. Making the minimum wage higher, free money, it's not going to fucking really do that much, in my opinion. Then we went on to immigration. Now, shit got really crazy with immigration. So Biden said something insane. He said that over 20,000 illegal immigrants were first responders. What? Where the fuck did this? He just made that number up. Show me 10. Show me an example of 10 illegal immigrants who were first responders. Show it to me. Show it to me. I'll be waiting. Biden said that, and then he put a pitch to all illegals. He said they're going to give them all citizenship, which actually I agree with, because there's loads of illegal immigrants in America, and you can't just fucking kick them out now. Look, it's just give them the visa, but let's be really strict going forwards. We can't open our borders to the whole fucking world, or your country's just going to go to shit. You have to have border control for obvious reasons. And then Biden was appealing to illegal immigrants. It felt like he was making a pitch to illegal immigrants, when I thought, surely it makes sense to make a pitch to Americans. Biden said, kind of all wistfully and romantically, he said he can imagine the immigrants coming over the Rio Grande to America. What the fuck? Who are you appealing to? It was so bizarre. But this is why the Democrats are so pro-minority and pro-black and pro-immigrant, because they just want their votes. That's all they want. Loads of illegals, fucking come on in, because if you come on in, they're going to give you their vote, right? Why wouldn't they? Because if they don't give you the vote, then they're going to get kicked out. So that's the thing with Democrats and far leftists. The result is all that matters. It doesn't matter how they get there. And that is a kind of theme that's true to all totalitarian regimes over time. Any collateral, fuck it. It doesn't matter. Fucking up the country, fuck it. As long as you get the result, which is absolute power, that's all they care about. And that came across to me in what Biden was saying there about immigration. Trump calmly murdered this with stats. He said 1% of catch and release come back, when Biden said they all come back, just making shit up. Trump said murderers and rapists can come in, which is true. And yeah, that was about it. Biden tried to get a word in here. And in contrast to the first debate, Biden tried to get a word in. And in contrast to the first debate, where Trump would have just cut into Biden and tried to interrupt him back, Trump said to the moderator, go ahead. So Trump was just perfect. He said exactly what he needed to say. He was offering a lot. He'd offered a lot with COVID. Biden offered nothing. He made a good offer with pretty much all of his points. Biden just wasn't offering anything. And he's letting Biden speak. And when Biden was speaking, he was fumbling his words. And the momentum was just perfect. Next up was the subject of racism. Now, okay, so she said she talks about how black parents always have to ready their child for a talk, saying they're going to be targeted for no reason other than the color of their skin. So Biden then he literally said that all black people are victims. All of them. I don't know how people can say this shit. If I said the complete opposite, that would also feel wrong. If I said anything about all black people, it just feels weird. So let me try to do this like Biden does it. So I'll say my opinion about this. Look, all you black people out there, you're not all victims. I just feel like an arrogant fucking asshole saying that. Speaking to all black people like they're all the same, like there's some kind of hive mind. It's so fucking weird. And not only that, Biden is stripping all black people of their individual agency and saying you're all pathetic. You're all victims. Your success is not in your own hands. What a fucking horrible thing to say to someone in the freest, least racist country in the world. And then Biden said the craziest shit ever, which is pure Orwellian doublethink. It is just saying something completely false and hoping people believe it, in contrast to reality. Biden said that even black people who make $300,000 a fucking year are still in massive danger from the police. Where is the evidence for this? Where is the fucking evidence? Not just for black people making $300,000 a year, presumably in a very affluent area, but where's the evidence for working class blacks? Because actually last year, less than 20, which is less than 20 too many, but still less than 20 blacks, unarmed blacks were killed by police officers. And it doesn't even say whether those police officers were white or black. Actually, the stats are over 90% of black murders are by other black people. That is the fact. That is the reality. And yet you're trying to maintain this narrative that has been a tentpole of all these riots and all the looting recently, that white people are just out to murder blacks. Even if they're earning $300,000 a year, give me a fucking break. This is why the country is so divided, because people at the very top say things like this and it's rammed home day after day by the media when it's just false. Biden is saying America is just institutionally racist and is a racist country. I have a question for you, Biden. Compared to what? America is institutionally racist and terrible compared to what country? You cannot name me one country that is less racist than America. So what the fuck are you talking about? Biden went on. He said that we're all created equal, but we never lived up to American ideals. And then he said Trump was the first president who said that's the end of that. What in the... I didn't hear Trump talk about race at all. All he gives a fuck about is the economy. It was booming. And Biden is saying Trump is the one who doesn't agree we're all created equal. It's Orwellian doublethink. It's just saying complete falsehood. It's so far from reality. It's laughable. It's funny. So no wonder the riots happening, because America's fucking racist. Oh, you looted that store? That's probably not so good. But America's racist. Oh, yeah, just keep on looting, mate. You can use that shit as an excuse for anything. It's so destructive. Trump kind of countered this and mentioned how Biden called blacks super predators. And then Trump made me laugh. He said, with the possible exception of Abe Lincoln, nobody's done what I've done. And I love that kind of inflated ego. But he's saying it a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I did like that. It's beautiful. It's funny. And then Trump went on to criminal justice reform. And what Trump said here about criminal justice reform and working with black people just felt really warm and heartfelt when he's talking about people he likes. It just seems very genuine. Like Trump, Democrats always criticize him for just saying what he thinks all the time. And I feel this is true. I think Trump, he cares about this stuff. So why Trump didn't bring up the fact that Biden said, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black, I don't know. But that was a slight missed opportunity. And then Biden said that he commuted over 1,000 people's sentences, but the Trump administration only commuted 20. So wait, Biden, and he admitted this, that his administration threw shitloads of black people in jail wrongly. He admitted it during this interview 2 or 3 times. And then he's boasting about how many they've released. So that's like me going around and like crippling loads of kids and then boasting about, oh, but now I've realized it was wrong and I'm kind of paying for their medical fees, and we've got quite a few of them out of hospital. That was basically Biden's argument. He said, we commuted all these sentences. We, you mean you and the Democratic Party? I guess that encompasses Kamala Harris, your vice president. Well, Kamala Harris is notorious for locking up loads of black people for basic criminal offenses like smoking marijuana and stuff. And then Biden had the audacity to go on and say no one should be sent to jail if they had a drug problem, when his vice president is or was all about that. Trump then was saying, well, why didn't you do this 4 years ago? Because when Biden and Obama were in power for 8 years, none of this got done. And Trump kept defaulting to this. And it's a great point. Biden's saying he's going to do all this stuff. And Trump says, why the fuck didn't you do it when you were in power? And then Trump said something killer, another boom moment. He said, I ran for president because of you, Biden, because you did a poor job. Trump said, if you did a good job, if you had done a good job, I would never have ran. I ran because of you. I thought that was a fucking wicked line. Absolutely smashed Biden with that. I was loving that. And then Biden did something he did in the first interview where he just ignored everything, looked at the camera and implored people to vote. And he says, you know me, you know him. And then he said, come on. And then Trump countered and was talking about Biden's alleged corruption in Russia, China, Ukraine. There's so much more evidence for this than anything Trump had ever done. Even after this whole investigation, Trump wasn't found guilty. There's much more evidence. There's Biden on camera saying shit that basically backs up he's doing corrupt shit with his son. And then Trump said, oh, you mean the laptop is now another Russia? You know how he does it with his mouth? The laptop's another Russia hoax. I was creasing up at this point. Trump says, you've got to be kidding. Here we go again with Russia. I can't believe that one. He kind of trailed off saying to himself. So Trump is really, really exploiting this recent controversy about the Biden family's corruption. And he's not only just bringing that to light on the world stage with tens of millions of people watching, he's doing it with his comedic swagger and his charm. And it was vintage Trump. He's a stand-up comedian. Then Biden made the biggest gaffe, the biggest fail of the whole debate. This is literally what Biden said next. Abraham Lincoln is one of the most racist presidents ever. Biden's brain is so riddled with Alzheimer's, he can't even remember the name of the president of the United States and the guy he's debating. He called Trump Abraham Lincoln. And the irony is, in this gaffe, it's actually a true statement because the Democrats, the party of Joe Biden, hate their country. They said it's founded on slavery and it's garbage. They want to tear the whole thing down. And they actually do believe that Abraham Lincoln is one of the most racist presidents ever, even though he had a massive hand in ending slavery. So that was an interesting gaffe by Biden. I don't think it was a Freudian slip. I just think he can't think straight because his brain is deteriorating because he's so old. He then lied and said that Trump banned Muslims because they're Muslims when he didn't. He banned certain Muslim majority countries because they're riddled with terrorism at a time when terrorism was high. He lied and said that Trump said all Mexicans were rapists when he didn't say all Mexicans are rapists. He said rapists can come from there and lots of criminals certainly can and will and do come from Mexico because it has shitloads of crime. It's fucking lawless on the streets in big parts of Mexico and the cartels fucking run it over there. Then he's making combos of fails. So he's saying all this bullshit. He said Trump is Abraham Lincoln. And then he said, Trump said about the poor boys, stand down and stand ready. So the poor boys are the Proud Boys. And he didn't mean stand down and stand ready. He's referencing what Trump said in the first debate, which is stand down and stand by. So at this point, Biden is just deteriorating. I know what CNN's going to say. They're going to say that Biden won the debate. There's no way in hell that Biden even could be considered to have remotely come close to winning this debate. Trump says, you've done nothing but make a crime bill that put tens of thousands in jail. And before this, when Trump was cussing Donald, he did what he did in the first interview. And Biden was kind of grinning to himself like that with that skeletal grin and that little chuckle. By this point, he wasn't chuckling anymore. Left to his own devices and giving a chance to speak, Biden was fucking up and he was having a tough time up there. So let's move on from the criminal justice reform and all that. Oh, just hang on, just before we do though, something really cool happened here. So Trump started to weave the narrative. You're all talk and no action. He started to compound that narrative. And it's true because Biden's just talking a lot, criticizing a lot. And I could not identify one thing the Democrats were offering. Trump was offering something really clear to me. End the lockdowns, open the country up, go back to normal, make some money, and all that comes with it. Having a good kind of nice balance in the family, good mood in the family, recreation time, work, play, all that comes with having money. That's what Trump was offering. Biden offering nothing. And Trump started to compound that narrative by saying, you're all talk and no action. Biden said they released 38,000 people from prison. We put in the legislation. And Trump again said, why didn't you do it earlier? And then Biden replied and he goes, has a Republican Congress. What that means is Biden's administration with Obama jailed loads of people wrongly, Then they released quite a lot of them. Sorry, guys. Kind of put you in jail for the wrong reasons. And then was boasting about that. And then quizzed about why they couldn't release more and couldn't do better on the mistake that they made of jailing loads of black people. Biden just goes, has a Republican Congress because of the Republicans. So they do some fucked up shit, try to rectify it, and it's the Republicans' fault. Biden goes, has a Republican Congress. You got to talk him into it, Joe. Trump comes back with, he left that silence there on purpose. You see how much more effective that is when the comeback comes in if you let the stupid comment breathe for a bit, and then it sounds really awkward. And then everyone listening starts to fill in the blanks in their own mind, and the tension and suspense is building, and Trump just comes in like he's speaking to a little 4-year-old. You got to talk him into it, Joe. Trump was almost trying to help his opponent because he was so bad at this point. Trump was parroting Joe Biden more, copying his accent. It's really funny. Then we went on to the subject of clean energy. And at this point, Trump is he's in his final form. He is flying. He's jaunty. He's got the swagger in the shoulders. They're talking about something to do with clean energy. And Trump says, I haven't heard Joe use the term because I'm not sure he understands what it means, but I've heard Obama use it. And he said it in that kind of funny tone. It was great. And then Biden, more doom and gloom. So the COVID's going to kill you, 200,000 dead, the vaccine's not going to work, it's not going to be around. Then he said, and I quote, climate change is an existential threat to reality. So he's making the Democrat ballot sound like a mushroom bad trip or a bad trip on LSD. Climate change is an existential threat to reality, and COVID's going to get me. Then he said, we will pass the point of no return in 8 to 10 years. Doom, gloom, you're going to die. COVID's going to kill your family. Reality's melting. The world's going to end. We will save you. That's the only thing that Biden offered. Trump was more positive. I'm with Trump, man. Then we went on to basically the Green New Deal, which is the Democrats' kind of climate change plan. Biden just said we're going to invest in 50,000 charging stations on highways. Yay! What, charging station on a highway? Wicked! Wait, hang on a minute. What the fuck even is a charging? Charge what? Charge your car? Okay, so hang on. You're going to raise my taxes, right? And then I'm going to charge my fucking car. That is not offering anything. Then Biden said we're going to create new jobs. Translation, he's going to raise your taxes and create new jobs. What the fuck do I get? Is you're going to take more of my money as an American citizen, if I were American, and you're going to create new jobs. Does that mean I get one of these new jobs? What's this job going to be? Is it something fun? Is it something all kind of unicorns and rainbows and shit? What is this new job? And when do I get it? Like, what am I going to get when I vote for you? He said I'm going to get a new job. Fuck it. Have my vote. Yay, I'm going to get a new job. He's not actually offering anything tangible. Trump offering you freedom. He says he's going to end the lockdowns. That is fucking offering so much. A return to normalcy. A positive, upbeat outlook. That's what I want. Oh, man. Raise the taxes and they're going to pump billions into this. And where's those billions going to go? Probably to all the fucking interest groups that lobby the government and into the bank accounts of these corrupt motherfuckers. Nancy Pelosi will get a new silver-plated fridge. Biden will have a gold-gilded basement. Sounds fine to me. Biden even said Wall Street says they're going to make X billions here and X billions there. He started to go into how he's going to fix the economy by taxing you more. Okay, so you're going to take more of my money and then one day I'm going to make more money. Okay, I don't think people are that long term. But anyways, I don't think Biden should go there because economy is Trump's territory. He counted and said Biden is AOC +3, meaning he's a puppet to the left radical wing of the party, which he is. He does whatever they say and he will do whatever they say. He's afraid of them. And Biden's talking to a man who's created a record amount of jobs in America before COVID came along, which wasn't Trump's fault. Trump was mocking Biden, therefore. He said they want to knock buildings down and make new buildings, make the windows smaller. He said they'll take away your windows if they could. And it's funny because that's what Democrats do. They overregulate everything. There's red tape everywhere. all the small businesses will get crushed. And guess what? All the big businesses, which the left always say are so bad in their populist appeals to the people, they're going to thrive. And the big businesses lobby the Democrats with the most money. Look at all the big businesses. They're all pro BLM, which is a Trojan horse for Democrats, right? Nike, fucking Apple, Google, they're all. So those companies will thrive. Lockdowns will remain. All the small companies run by actual real people like me and you will die. And then all those interest groups and all those lobbying companies will just funnel more money into the government. And that's what you're going to get if you vote for Biden, in my opinion. Then we went over to fracking and talked about oil, and Trump got something major out of Biden. So he asked Biden if he wants to end the oil industry. And Biden said, I transition. So again, this is all rhetoric. This is all Orwellian newspeak. He could just say, yes, I'm going to end the oil industry, but he says, I'm going to transition. He just uses all these different words. He's such a slimy politician. And then Trump said, oh, I see. And that because he knows Biden's fucked, because he just admitted he's going to end the oil industry. And there's certain states who will vote depending on how the oil industry is supported. So Biden said, I'd stop giving them federal subsidies. All these fancy rhetorical words. He's going to take away your money if you're in the oil industry or in an oil state. And Trump said, basically what he's saying is he will destroy the oil industry. Will you remember that? Texas, Oklahoma, and then he rattled off all of the kind of pro-oil states. And then the last question, Trump didn't answer that well because he kind of went around it. The question was, if you are elected president, what would you say to all the people who didn't vote for you? And Trump just sidestepped that, and he just gave his final pitch. But fair enough. He just said he's going to end lockdowns, and he made a really positive closing statement. And then Biden kind of made me laugh. He said that it's something to do with hope. Yeah, he said we will choose hope, not fear. When all through this interview it's pure fear mongering. You know, it's like you're going to lose your business. There's going to be no vaccine. Your family member won't be sitting at the table. Someone's going to die from COVID. 200,000 are going to die by Christmas. Existential reality is melting. We've got 8 years before the point of no return. It was just a dark winter. It was just raw negativity. And then he finished his closing statement with, we will choose hope over fear. Again, this is Orwellian doublethink. This is saying two things that are completely opposite and saying that they're both true. And if you believe that, if the people just clap along, they'll just fucking believe anything and you can manipulate them. That's why in George Orwell's 1984, the main slogans of the party are things like, war is peace. And that's what he's saying here. He said, everything is bad, everything's fucked, but everything's great. That's what he said at the end. We will choose hope over fear after fear-mongering his whole debate. We'll deal with systemic racism. So the world is fucked. It's all stacked against you. We'll make sure the economy is run by clean energy, which means taxes will be raised. And that's it. So Biden offered dealing intersectional politics, which is another third of leftist ideology. So intersectional politics, there's going to be more of that. Systemic racism, going to end that. Going to raise your taxes for clean energy under the guise of clean energy. And that's it. That's pretty much what Biden offered. He didn't offer anything else. Trump basically offered ending the lockdowns. And there's other things, but that was the main thing. It's going to end the lockdowns. It's like a return to normalcy, get things moving again, going to make some money. So Trump's pitch was way stronger. And my overriding thought is, in this election, people are going to vote for Trump because he's not Biden. And people are going to vote for Biden because he's not Trump. So this is a fucking weird situation. Someone's going to get into power because they're not someone else. I think this is probably the first time this is ever going to happen. It would be great if we could vote for someone because they are who they are, but these are the times we're living in. It's kind of like there's two girls in a bar, and then the one at the bar, she's all right. She's not that great. But you fuck her because it's a better alternative to the 800-pound body positivity feminist blogger in the corner. I mean, it might not be that bad. Trump or Biden, smash or pass, ladies. You can only smash or pass one of them. Which one's it going to be? And there we have it. 2020 election cometh. I've been Johnny Massacre, and I tell you what, mate, you better be back for the next video. Otherwise, I'll be coming around your house. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, because that is what all those other cunts tell you to do. Laters.